massive cannabis law changes. No, yeah. My bad, y'all. That blew it for me, Florida. I'm just sitting here thinking about it. 23 million Floridians, and it was just 96,000 votes. Signatures away. It's crazy how distant we are from actually doing things that could benefit us. But yeah, let's get to the massive cannabis law changes.
So not too long ago, Texas was at the middle of a THC showdown. Governor Greg Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick were sparring on whether THC should be banned or regulated. And at the end of it all, it may seem that Greg Abbott and THC may have won and escaped the full-on ban. But now, with Texas being a political battleground for local elections, not only does the THC hemp industry face an uncertain future, but there are also massive changes that are coming and will shake things up.
The Texas THC industry is preparing for massive change. A new law late in 2025 made many products on Texas shelves illegal marijuana. NBC5's Phil Prazen takes a look at the impacts that may come this year.
A new push on Capitol Hill led by many Texas businesses.
So no one's going to be able to operate, and a lot of veterans like myself that depend on this, and a lot of the elderly population and our farmers. Where do we go next, Phil?
Elijah Davis, CEO of cannabis drink company Platinum 915, just returned from Washington, D.C., asking members of Congress for a 2 or 3 year extension. Late last year, Congress passed a budget with wording making most THC products in Texas illegal marijuana, making any product with the Delta 9 strain more than 0.3% against the law.
Now, as you guys would recall, at the end of 2025, there was a federal government shutdown, the longest government shutdown in recorded history. But in the deal to reopen the government, they snuck in a federal THC hemp ban that will outlaw tons of these products, including full-spectrum CBD products. It'll also affect things like seeds and genetics, and it's caused a lot of uncertainty in the industry. Now, this ban is set to come into force November of 2026, but there have been a lot of folks advocating down at Washington for an extension of that ban so that we can come up with some sort of regulation rather than a full-out ban. And one thing that I've always said, guys, is that this ban on full-spectrum CBD products and hemp-derived consumables will have a massive impact on prohibition states. Prohibition states where those products are predominantly used for medical purposes, a lot of folks will no longer be able to access those products. And while the impact may be felt slightly less in already legal states, it cannot be denied that this will have far-reaching impacts.
It comes after a year full of debate in Texas as Republican lawmakers and police look to crack down.
We must ban THC. We can't regulate it. We don't have enough police to check every store when there are 8,000 to 9,000 of them.
THC consumables are being infused into normal-looking foods with packaging and sugary flavors, often targeted at our youth consumers.
The Department of State Health Services recently increased the retail fee from $150 to $20,000. That, mixed with the congressional ban, upended the multi-billion-dollar industry. Davis believes if the status quo remains, many veterans and others will not have access to an option for pain relief.
What are we supposed to run back to opioids and Percocets and all this kind of other stuff? That's not good long term.
By the spring, with no change, farmers will plant less and stores may be empty of certain products by the fall.
Now, Texas could be one of the states where the impact of that ban could be felt the most. And in fact, Texas has recently proposed a bunch of new THC regulations that will really shake things up. And what could also shake things up is Texas local elections, which is coming up pretty soon. And as we all know, and we would have heard in previous episodes, Lieutenant Dan Patrick was pushing for a ban of all hemp THC products in Texas. But thankfully, Governor Abbott vetoed that ban and called for regulation so that tons of veterans, tons of folks will not lose out on the products that they need access to. But now, according to polls, there are a lot of undecided voters in Texas, and that can have a big impact on the governor race, which could have a big impact on the THC hemp industry. Check it out.
All right, Stephen, if there's any bright spot in these numbers for contenders down double digits, It's got to be the substantial number of undecided voters still up for grabs in nearly all of these races. Agree, disagree?
Agreed. The undecideds kind of threw me off there, especially when it comes to the Democratic primary for Attorney General, and I know we'll get into that later in the show. 40% of people in that poll still undecided, which means they don't know who the heck the candidates are. And you see some of that in some of the other Republican races as well.
All right, Rudy, what tickles your political fancy in this fresh tranche of numbers from the Hobby School?
You know, I agree with Stephen. The undecided numbers were huge and eye-popping, but the favorability numbers for Governor Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick certainly are red flags, with the governor only getting 51% and Dan Patrick literally underwater with a negative favorability rating. Those numbers could be a warning sign for potential down-ballot disaster if they don't improve. The other numbers come from another polling that was done and released by the New York Post today. The people who responded to a survey by JL Partners put the GOP Senate race essentially tied. That's big news for Wesley Hunt, who has trailed in most of the polls that have come out, and maybe why Ken Paxton this week announced that he's going to start doing a campaign tour coming out of that virtual version of the Biden basement, Greg.
So according to polls, folks in Texas are not happy with Lieutenant Dan Patrick. And based on my comment section of past videos, I see you guys as not being happy with him either. But that being said, there are a number of changes which are coming to the Texas THC hemp industry, and we're going to break it down all for you guys. But before we do, just a quick reminder, if you're getting value from this video, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support us further, join the ICANN VIP Bean Club or cop some merch from our merch store. We got those new merch designs out, so definitely check them out and grab some swag. And if you happen to be a home gardener, try the ICANN Organics. Use the code LEGAL. It works on the bundle and the seeds.
9 businesses received preliminary approval this week to grow, manufacture, and sell medicinal marijuana in Texas. It's one of the first steps to grow the state's medical marijuana program. For the past decade, only 3 companies have been allowed to supply the state's medicinal program, and lack of access and convenience is what prompted state lawmakers to expand the program this year. But some are questioning who is getting these licenses. And Capitol correspondent Dylan McKim explains.
I created the business out of a need that I had in my own community.
Lauren Bridges, a hairstylist in East Texas, will soon move her side business into one of the largest spaces in downtown Longview. A hemp boutique. Her journey started a few years ago when she became a patient in the state's medicinal marijuana program to help treat her PTSD. She didn't like the product options.
It was very narrow. There was like, a sleep gummy, a basic gummy, a couple of tinctures. There just wasn't a lot of selection.
She was not alone. Family, friends, and some of her hair clients had concerns with the program's cost, lack of access, and limited products. So she started her own hemp boutique to fill that need and called it Alchemy TX.
If the medical program would have been sufficient, I don't think Alchemy TX would have ever existed.
Now that's something that we've noticed in the past when reporting on this issue, but also from feedback that we've received from you guys. Texas's medical program, or TCUP, is very restrictive. A lot of the products that you can receive are very limited. Essentially, there's no flower, it's really expensive, and again, the selection of products is simply not there. And it goes straight back to what I was saying earlier as to why THC hemp consumables are so important to consumers in this industry, especially in prohibition states. But now, thankfully, Texas is expanding their medical program, expanding the qualifying conditions, but also expanding the amount of folks that can grow medical herb in the state. Have a look.
The state is now growing its program, announcing Monday 9 companies that will provide medicinal marijuana access across the state, part of a revamp of the program that started at the Capitol this year. Nico Richardson, the CEO of Texas Original, which is currently supplying medicinal marijuana, said, quote, "With these new licenses, the broader list of qualifying conditions and new treatment options allowed under House Bill 46, patients gain more choices, new formulations, consistent dosing, and better delivery methods so they get the care they need," end quote. Almost all the new companies are from outside of Texas and already operate in other states. One company, Lone Star Bioscience, said it is located in this building. It's across the street from the Texas Capitol, but we could not find their office, and a front desk worker said they had not heard of the company in the building. Bridges questions the credentials of the new companies and says she wanted to see more Texas-based companies involved in the expansion.
It doesn't look like a business that was already operational. channel that is going to move into the medical sector. A hemp business could have easily done that.
Now guys, when it comes to these licenses, it always feels like there's some sort of underhanded, sly motive, something that's going on behind the scenes that everyone's not fully aware of. And I fully agree with what they were saying in that clip. And I fully agree with what that business owner was saying in that clip, because there are definitely hemp businesses in Texas who could step in and fill that role. But instead, we're seeing out-of-state money coming into Texas to fill those positions. Because why are some of these out-of-state companies the first to get approval for some of these new licenses? And I fully agree with what that hemp business owner was saying in that clip, because local hemp businesses should be the first to get a look in when it comes to some of these new licenses. I mean, they've already been operating, paying the requisite fees, and following the laws, rules, and regulations. But instead, we're seeing a situation where some of those local THC hemp businesses are being attacked, and being attacked in the form of jacked up licensing fees. I mean, it's absolutely extortionate. Check it out.
Businesses that sell legal consumable THC may have to foot the bill for higher registration fees. The hefty price tag has some business owners worried. Good evening, I'm Clarice Tinsley. The registration fee could cost up to $20,000 a year. That's in response to an executive order directive by Governor Abbott to enforce more strict rules. Fox 4 Stephen Dial is live in Frisco. Hi, Stephen.
Good evening, Clarice. For months, I've been talking to CBD and vape shop owners, and they said that they are for the age restrictions and for more labeling restrictions, but they told me that this latest proposal, in their words, is a step too far.
We've had people from everything with Tourette's syndrome or rheumatoid arthritis or fibromyalgia or just really bad insomnia. A lot of people with PTSD or other types of injuries that tell us that our products really help them.
The last time we spoke to Carol Jones, it was her finding out she had to get rid of vapes made in China. Now there's a new proposal that she says could sink her business and others. The Texas Health and Human Services Commission is considering a proposal that would increase licensing fees for hemp manufacturers from $250 to $25,000 per facility. The change would also increase the registration fee for retailers from $150 a year to $20,000 a year.
If I was able to continue selling everything that I'm selling now, I probably would try to, just because I love helping my customers and I want to stay open and I want to continue to be a service to my community. But it would be a stretch, it would be hard. But given that we're also probably going to lose a lot of the products that we're currently carrying, I just don't think we would be able to stay open. The numbers don't work out.
This month, the commission heard public comment.
We all want safety, but we don't want to be taxed or regulated and licensed to death.
Many were against the proposal. Christine Scruggs is for tighter regulations. She says her son was negatively impacted by these types of products.
I would love that Texas comes up with a widespread public information campaign to teach people, especially our youth, about the dangers of THC, not gloss it over and say everybody does it and it's no problem.
Another part of the proposal would eliminate hemp flower, meaning all smokable products would also be banned.
That is the most natural form of cannabis that we even have in this state. It's not adulterated in any way. And for some people, especially a lot of veterans, that is the only way that really works for them. A lot of the edibles don't work for certain people because in the digestive process, it somehow cancels it out and they don't get the positive effects of, that they're looking for.
The commission will continue to take written public comment until January 19th. It's unclear when a final decision will be made.
So with some of these jacked up annual licensing fees that THC hemp businesses will now be facing, we're talking an increase from $250 to $25,000 per facility per year. Some of them will simply not be able to survive. And the sad thing is that this is going to affect tons of folks who actually need these products for medical purposes. Some of those folks who are not able to access the medical teacup program, are priced out of it, or simply not able to drive to the dispo because they have so few dispos that actually serve the medical program over in Texas. And in fact, these new rules and jacked up licensing fees are designed to be a kill shot for the entire industry, and in particular, those smaller mom and pop businesses that simply will not be able to survive.
Smokable Texas hemp could soon be banned, at least in any form that would get a user high.
In response to Governor Greg Abbott's executive order on hemp regulations, the Department of State Health Services has proposed new rules. Those rules, as proposed, would effectively ban smokable products currently available in Texas and also increase fees on the hemp industry by tens of thousands of dollars. As Capitol correspondent Adam Schwager explains, these changes could shutter the Texas hemp industry as we know it.
Jumping from 155 to 20K per location annually is not regulation. It's a kill shot aimed at small operators.
The Texas hemp industry opposed the proposed state health services rules to change the annual fees to sell hemp from $150 to $20,000 and the fees to grow hemp from $250 to $25,000.
And it's tough.
Austin hemp store operator Nicholas Mortellaro estimates he'd be on the hook for about $400,000 a year if these rules hold.
So it would mean that I have to completely turn down and either close my businesses or relocate them to other states.
And that's obviously not what we want to see, guys. We wanted regulation rather than a flat-out ban. But this form of regulation, it's just simply too tight. And we've seen this playing out before. We've seen it playing out in multiple states which have already legalized. Over-regulation, over-taxation, these things completely destroy legal markets. But let me know what you guys think about all this. If you guys are down in Texas, how are you guys feeling about some of these new proposed laws and changes? Drop your thoughts and concerns in the comment section down below.
All right. Texas marijuana industry. You guys tell me what y'all think about that. How y'all feel about the veterans not having the option to get it not having the option to get their hands on it for their pain. And the stuff they have to resort to are more I say harmful or addictive, but yeah, this let me know how you feel about the restrictions in the state of Texas. If you're in Texas, comment down low on the comment section. Let us know how you feel, what you think. Everybody, y'all heard that. Y'all go ahead and leave y'all comments and y'all thoughts down low.